I've heard contractors tell me or dealers tell me if they can't write me a check, they're not my customer. All right, here we are. It's already episode 3, if you can believe it, Matt. It's been a good
Halfway
time.
through. Yes, it
Yep.
has.
Yeah, and as you guys can see on the slide, today we're gonna kind of cover finance, integration, and marketing. And we're gonna jump in, give you guys kind of high level view of this stuff, and hopefully leave you guys with some clear paths to growth, and see if we can help you guys out in any way.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So recap of last week, if you guys remember, we went over the roadmap, setting up the foundation for the fiscal or the 12-month calendar year. And if you guys haven't already, go check it out and download the spreadsheet that we put together for you guys to use to start to really envision what the next 12 months or what 2026 can look like. So we covered two big questions. How much net profit do I want to make? And you can start that. That's kind of like the first box you fill out in the spreadsheet. And then what's your growth target? And I think if you guys recall from the last episode, we talk about a minimum 10% growth. It really is the way that you keep that profit in check and at the same time allows you to take care of your people really well. So it's going to help you manage those things. 10% minimum. And we should always be looking for ways to improve the systems and improve the lives of the people we support. So we did create a month by month spreadsheet that you guys will hopefully have downloaded and look over it, and it covered a lot of things in there. I don't need to read through them all, but profit, finance, overhead, production, and kind of a key principle here is that growth doesn't just happen. You do need a roadmap every month and every metric. A lot of people say, "Well, I think I might have," or "I think that we're on the right path," or "Last month was a great month." Well, how much? What were the key metrics? Well, I don't know, but it felt like it was a good month. Don't trust your gut in this. Trust the numbers. So plan those numbers and track them. So, quick recap of last week. One more time, if you guys haven't clicked the link and downloaded the free spreadsheet, do so. And if you have any questions about it, let us know. So, today's focus, now that you guys have that roadmap, we're going to dive into two critical components that help us move forward into this next year. And the one is the financing strategy. How are we going to leverage it? And then the other one is market planning for the entire year. Two big topics and two big levers that can help us move our business forward.
Yeah.
So,
Now that we got that good foundation set, we'll be able to, start building it and to your point, Jay, these are two big things. So we're gonna be pretty high level with the stuff today and but we have some opportunities for people to maybe dig a little deeper that we'll touch on as we're going through some stuff. So if there's things that you got more questions on, look out for those opportunities as we're going through the episode today. But um, important topics and again, we put together a really good foundation in our last episode. So if you didn't get a chance to check that out, go back and watch that. Take care of that homework that we asked everybody to look at and download that spreadsheet. It's a big help for what we're about to talk through and go through in today's episode. So thanks for coming back and joining us through this one. And yeah, halfway through, kind of wild to think about halfway through a 6 week mini series here. So we'll dive right in, right?
yep, yep, yeah. We're going to cover financing first. So a lot of this is kind of going to be Matt's thing, but we can just kind of talk about, m- we I think that we as contractors and in this industry, we favor cash. I've heard contractors tell me or dealers tell me if they can't write me a check, they're not my customer. And I think a lot of people are on that side of things, maybe are avoiding the challenges of how do I set up financing or it's just one more thing, right? Or I don't want to give them a piece of my pie. And there's lots of reasons to say no to it, but this slide here is a great representative of why this really matters.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And look, I mean, I've gone through helping set this up for now several, of our customers, but also in my own organizations as well too, in previous lives. And It's on the surface, it seems pretty complicated. And then, even more so, it seems like why go through the hassle? Because yeah, you're going to give up a little bit of what you would have gotten just to go through the hassle. But the reality of it is that when you look around, the room of our industry, so to speak, those that are doing this and using this tool the right way, they're reaping the benefits of it. And the reality of it is it's the right thing to do for homeowners, and it's because it's a necessity to get things done that one they need to get done, and two that they want to get done. So you're opening up options and possibilities for affordability and ease of affordability to get something done the right way with you, who's going to take care of them. So, um, what I would express to anybody that maybe has that initial resistance in thinking about it as a tool or an engine of growth that it could be for them, is just have a little bit of an open mind and understand that it can be something that can really drive growth for you and your organization. It can be a really powerful tool. So when you look at the numbers, they do not lie. And anytime I've seen an organization adopt this, it has been an absolute, rocket ship for them to, grow their organization, provide opportunities for their sales reps to close more deals and do so with higher average tickets, higher, efficiency rates, close rates, right? And it lowers cancellation rates as well too for organizations that might be struggling with that. And when you look around the room, 96% of your top contractors are utilizing financing in some way, shape, or form, and those that are doing it right are reaping the rewards.
Yeah.
Um, it's a really powerful tool, Jay. There's no doubt about it. So, and I laugh because I've turned into a bit of the finance guy. I think most people, when they hear my name, probably almost roll their eyes at this point because I preach it so heavily.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then next number, 96% of contractors are offering it. But then the next number is surprising too. 67% of owners homeowners prefer it. I laugh. My wife and I purchased a new couch a year or two ago, and the choice was pay cash up front, which was fine, and we could have, or do 0% interest for 24 months. And I'm
Right.
like, well, let's just throw a couple hundred a month at it. There's going to be no penalties to it. And that money that was sitting in the bank gets to sit in the bank. Felt good. And that's just for buying a couch for a couple $1,000s, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's even more ridiculous than that, right? Like, so if you went to Amazon right now, and I
Mhm.
think it's $50 is the threshold. If you were to put $50 worth of anything into your cart in Amazon, they will offer some sort of
Mhm.
payment option that's available, through
Yeah.
that platform. They're not doing that if people don't take advantage of that, right? In a decent percentage of people. So look, it is the American way.
Yep.
Excuse me. At some level, all of
Yeah.
us are taking advantage of payments in some way, shape, or form if it makes sense for us in our budget. And the reason we like to do it is we like to hold on to our cash, right? If we have that opportunity. So, look, I think that number 67% sometimes gets a little bit misconstrued. Um, so financing is a lot of different options, and when somebody's handing you a credit card, the plastic thing that we all have in our wallets, um, that is a form of financing that's utilizing somebody else's money to pay for it up front. And yeah, I'm going to pay that bill down before the end of the month. Hopefully, for many homeowners, they do that. Otherwise, the penalties are pretty great on that as well too. So, you
Mhm.
got to make sure that you're aware of what financing actually is and the fact that most of us are doing that on a regular basis. Our cell phones these days are paid for monthly. Our entertainment, right? Our TV, our streaming services, the 15 of them that we all have at this
Yeah.
point. I know you and I were talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
That what
Yeah.
was it? You were trying to get rid of Disney or
Yeah.
Hulu or whatever it is, and he ended up with putting it right back on the pile. But
Yeah.
we pay for these things on a monthly basis. So most of us prefer to think about it in a bite size or chunk by chunk manner, and
Mhm.
it's just a psychology thing. It's much easier for us to digest the easy monthly affordability of this versus this big lump sum that's coming out all at one time. So
Yeah.
it's just an ease of use thing. That's all. And the other
Yeah.
numbers that are on there, Jay, are speak for themselves. I don't know
Mhm.
anybody on the planet that's a sales rep, an owner, marketer that wouldn't look at those numbers and go, "Yeah, I want a piece of that." Right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, what if I told you you could sell 10% more jobs? Like, "Ah, I'm not interested." Never met a sales guy that didn't wanna sell more.
Exactly. Yeah, even the ones that think that they're at the top of their game, and
Mhm.
they might be without this tool, right? But if you put this tool in their hands and teach them how to use it the right way, and how to have
Yeah.
good budget conversations at the beginning of appointments, how to have even better conversations at the end of an appointment when somebody has decided that yes, I want to do this, yes, you're the right company, yes, you're the right product, but it's just more than I thought it was going to be. Hey, not a problem.
Mhm.
And you might not be surprised to know that I hear that on a regular basis. That's
Yep.
why a lot of homeowners are taking advantage of one of these programs. And the programs that we have at our fingertips through home remodeling with no prepayment penalties and the ease of use that they can, kind of maneuver in and out of with them, it presents even more options than homeowners are aware of. So again,
Yeah.
if you know how to use them the right way, it's a really, really powerful tool, right?
Mhm.
And the average job size goes up,
Yep.
average close rate goes up, and cancellation rate goes down. I cannot stress those 3 points enough.
Yep.
So it is a competitive advantage. There is no doubt about that.
Yep. Yeah, I've definitely been convinced. You've convinced me, Fitz.
Well, I'm going to give you one more thing here, Jay, because this is the thing I think that, again, I always had a rule for our people, and I still to this day, will preach this, and to the point probably where some sales reps that have worked for me in the past or will roll their eyes and know what I'm about to say. We don't make decisions for homeowners.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is this, you know, w- we go in and out of homes all day, every day. And when we walk up, the yard could be, perfectly maintained and there's nice cars sitting in the driveway. And all of the indications could say that this person has the money in the bank to write me a check.
Yep.
But what the data points out again is that the average American does not.
Yep.
So, this data that's here on the screen is pulled from just a few months ago. And every time I pull it up, the numbers don't change all that often. And
Mhm.
if they do change, they don't change, but a couple of dollars.
Yep.
So when you look at those, accounts that are listed on the screen here,
Mhm.
the median, so that's the middle, right? The
Yep.
the median household in the United States has $8,000, and everybody else below that has less. And all those combined accounts, the checking, savings, money market, prepaid debit accounts.
Yep.
So if you look at like the average home remodeling project, it's right around $8,000.
Yeah.
If you go to checking, Jay, what's even crazier, that's what they have on hand. What they could literally write
Mm.
you a check for today is $2,800,
Mhm.
right? So I know like we work a lot with like concrete coatings companies and we work with some paint companies, so some other things as well too. The average job is 58, 6,000, somewhere in that
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yep.
When they walk in the door, they're asking for all of that money.
Mhm. Yeah. Clean me out. Here's all my money.
Yeah. So when you think about that, that's a tough thing, right? When you walk in there and you say, "Hey, you really love this thing, you really like to have it. I need you to put yourself in a potentially financially dangerous situation where
Mm.
if tomorrow you fall off of a ladder and you can't go to work, you have no cash on hand. Are you okay with that?"
Yep.
Maybe not so
Yeah.
much. Not for a new floor, right? So again, it just for me, I'm not willing to play those odds. But 50% of the time, I might not be meeting somebody that has enough money to write me a check. So I'm going to use this tool to my advantage to open up the opportunity that I might be talking to somebody that needs options on how they're going to pay for, if not all of it, some of it, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
these are the things that we need to make sure. Again, we don't make decisions for homeowners, present them all of the options and let them decide what makes the most sense for them in their budget. Okay. So I'm done preaching at this point. If that's
Mhm.
okay with you, Jay.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm pretty sure you'll be back with something else shortly. But
I'm sure.
yeah, so there's a couple of program options and there's a little note at the bottom that says, don't overwhelm your team. or your customers. I think that people can get decision fatigue pretty quick. So choose a couple of these, and I want you to talk us through some of the program options.
Yeah, so I mean, look, when you sign up with a lender, they're going to give you a list of programs that they have available for you to use as a company. That list is going to be, 2 to 3 pages long.
Mhm.
They're going to range. They're going to have, programs that are going to be 0% with no payments, 0% with payments. They might have some options that combine payment programs with a 0% window, and then they're going to have like extended payment with terms, right? So an interest rate and a term, payment. So a 999 for 10 years. Okay.
Mhm.
You have to find a mix. I can tell you right now, if you hand your team that entire sheet and go, here you go, use the programs that make sense for the homeowner, you're not using financing the right way. And you're going to say, well, we offer financing, it doesn't work. It's too confusing. It's too many options, right?
Yeah.
Jay, I think you and I were talking about like the shoe salesman that was successful because he said always two, never three, right?
Hmm.
We as, human beings, when we are presented with too many options, we get decision fatigue, right?
Yep.
And it becomes I need to think about it, or it becomes too confusing. So when we can simplify down, we can find a what makes the most sense for you and your budget. Can you afford this payment? Then what we can decide on is now we can decide, does this term or this term make the most sense for you? Right. And training your sales reps, we want them to be really good at selling our products and selling how we're going to take care of a homeowner. And then this program makes the most sense for you, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. I know this because the last 4 or 5 homeowners that I've helped out, this is what made sense for them. And you're just like them too. So when we look at the programs that we have, we want to narrow in on, okay, these ones probably make the most sense for my customer base based off of where I'm at, based off of the average job size that I have, right? And the product type that I'm selling, whether it's a need versus a want. Maybe I want a little bit more 0% in there versus, if I got a want product versus a need. And then, okay, I want to have a couple of extra easy pay programs for somebody that wants the want product, but might not have the means to pay it off in a year, right?
Mhm.
So I need to have that option in there as well too. So I'm going to pick somewhere in the neighborhood of about 3 to 5 different programs. I don't need any more than that. That's going to allow me to build that into my pricing model so that I can account for, I expect, you know, if I'm going to sell 40% of my jobs on financing, of that 40%, you know, 20% will be on this program, 15% will be on this one, 10% on this one, so on and so forth. I can start to budget accordingly because this is going to be the most popular one we're going to use. This is going to
Yep.
be the second, third, fourth, and fifth. Now I can account for where all of those dollars are going to go and how we're going to use those programs in our marketing calendar throughout the year to drive phone calls, appointments, and sales accordingly. So, am I explaining that okay? I hope I
Oh
am.
yeah. Yep. Yeah. I think simplicity is key here too, and keep it simple.
Yeah. And look, it's got to be a good offer, right? Because you're going to use it on the marketing side. And if I have all of the options, then it really isn't a exciting offer, too. So it's got to be something that is
Mm-hmm.
unique and special. If it's just a
Yeah.
big sheet for anybody to choose from, then this is no hate on the Cheesecake Factory, but that menu is extensively
Yeah.
long and it's impossible to choose from. So it's not all that exciting to go to the Cheesecake Factory all the time.
That's right. Yeah. And I'll throw it in here real quick. We're kind of talking high level, and there's a lot of people that maybe have a whole lot of questions about this specific slide. And we wanted to let you listeners know that we're going to be offering just a free 30-minute call with Matt here to go over, maybe a little bit more detail on your specific business, your industry, your market, your services, and how you could best leverage this stuff. So definitely schedule a time with Matt to go over this.
Yeah, there'll be a link to submit for that call, and in about 30 minutes we can go through the programs you have available and
Yeah.
the different options you have, and give you a good head start on putting together your programs and what makes the most sense for you guys. And happy to do it,
Mhm.
and get you pointed in the right direction for sure. So yeah, look out for that link, and we'll schedule that time.
Yeah. Excellent.
Ar Alright, Jay. Now it's your turn, buddy.
That's right. Finally.
Alright, so we gotta master some seasonality here, right? So we've got
Mm,
some financing programs picked out at this point that I know you're gonna use for building out some of our offers on the marketing side of our world.
mm,
But before we do that, I know we have to understand what the season of our business looks like or the seasons of our business look like. So, um, I know you've talked about this that if I were to give you and say, hey, I come to you, Jay, and I say, hey, for marketing, we're going to spend $1 million this year on marketing. You're not going to take that and divide that evenly across 12 months.
no, no,
Okay.
definitely not.
All right. So you're going to divide that based off of the fact that, from January to February to March, we're going to perform differently based off of how our market performs.
Yep.
Um, Here's my question for you. How do we determine how each one of those months, seasonality, is affected? How do we determine that?
Yeah. If you've been recording your own numbers, first thing you do is do historical data and pull up the last 12 months and look at what you did that month in some of these numbers that we've tracked. How much did you spend? How many leads did you generate? How busy were you? And another great one is connect with someone like me here at Powerful Media. We've got years and years of historical data on how much a lead cost, how much a message cost, how much a booked appointment cost at different times of the year. And so those are two great ways to do it. Your own internal information, connect with us. In the Pentech network specifically, you can definitely talk to your area rep if you're a new dealer. Say, hey, what have other dealers done at this time of the year? Or in your area, if you've got a Pentech dealer nearby, give them a call and say, hey, what does this time of year look like for you?
It's a really good point. Again, one of the things I love about this industry in general too is, I mean, whether it's the same product line or not, there's some similarity to it.
Mhm.
So, just most people are an open book, reach out and ask questions, and we are too. So we'll be happy to help. But um, so going back and looking is pretty logical to think about.
Mhm.
Jay, how far back, right? So, like, okay, I went back last year. Is last year a good indicator, alone by itself? How far back do you think we should go, okay, now I got enough data to say that January is 4% of my annual volume on average?
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, a year minimum, if you don't have more data than that, just go back a year. I know that pulling that data can be challenging if you don't have systems in place to do it. At Powerful, we usually look a year back, and if it's close to what this year is, we'll kind of roll with it. But if it seems like something's off, we're going to go 2, 3 years back and see which direction things are going. And we'll run annual reports as well to go cost of marketing from 2023 to 2024 saw a big jump. We're seeing another jump here in 2025. And so you can maybe then budget or anticipate an increase in your marketing spend for the upcoming year if that's what the historical trend has been.
Okay.
Everybody can have their fingers crossed that this is the year the economy picks up and we're all happy again, but you got to be a little bit realistic in that same conversation.
Yeah, you kind of plan for the worst, hope for the best, right? It's an old saying
Yeah,
for a reason, and it sticks around
yeah,
for a reason, right?
yeah.
So let me ask you this too while we're here, because, you know, there are averages and trends that happen relatively consistently, in our industry and our markets, year over year. But when we know that there are things that happen, I guess routinely, let's say every 4 years, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, do we need to take those things into account, like election years, or maybe there's something specific that happens in your market every other year? There's a big event that happens in the summer or something like that. Do we plan differently for those years? And I guess that would be my question: is how do you take those things into account?
Yeah, you definitely need to know your market. I will say one silver lining around the whole every 4 years thing. Facebook actually in the last 2 years removed They gave you an option to not receive political ads on social media.
Okay.
So in some cases that's still a problem. Um, but you definitely what you're talking about here, just with the 12-month thing, pay attention to big holidays. You definitely should be paying attention to if cost of marketing is going up, have a great offer. We're right now sitting here a few days before Thanksgiving and November and December. Well, this year, November, Black Friday started like 3 weeks ago. It's wild.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so you're going to see that on social media and you're going to see that on Google searches where the big e-commerce brands, Amazon, and then you got other brands like Nike, et cetera, that they like quadruple their spend in that fourth quarter because that's when they make all their money. And so the home services oftentimes is seeing a significant increase in their auction costs on marketing. So have a great offer, or have a plan to spend your money in a different way, but keep the marketing machine going.
Good to know. All right, so we're gonna take a look back at least at last year,
Mhm.
right? If we have the opportunity to look back 2, 3 years, that's an advantage as well too.
Mhm.
If we're also gonna maybe take a peek forward to see if there's anything unique that's coming in a calendar year to be prepared for that, and that isn't necessarily gonna change, how much we're gonna spend, but maybe change where and how we're gonna spend it. Is that fair summary of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Cool. I like it. Anything else we need to cover here?
No, this is a great slide. It's a good one to pause and ponder,
Very
specific to
cool.
your market.
Yeah, and I'll reiterate, right? If you're newer, in your business, and this is something that's harder for you to maybe get a handle on, there's a lot of resources, and Jay's a great one. Reach out to us, and I know him and his team on the marketing side are big helps there, and then your regional reps for your manufacturers will put you in touch with people that can help you too. So,
Yep.
really good stuff there. So we got an idea now, Jay, of our seasonality of our
Mhm.
business. We've talked to the right people. We've looked at our data and we've got an idea of like the percentage that we're going to do, hopefully, roughly give or take with a margin of error, January, February, March, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Now we need to take that budget that, either as an owner, we're applying as the owner marketing, manager, or that the owner's given to us as a marketing manager. And we got to decide how we're going to divvy that up. So we have a couple of different buckets here, right? Like traditional,
Mhm.
non-traditional type marketing. Can we
Mhm.
talk a little bit through these buckets and maybe how we allocate that stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have a little bit more insight on how you manage the traditional marketing, but definitely across the country, I will say the biggest thing I've just learned and gleaned from my customers is traditional, you need to know your market. It's really important to know if TV works, if radio works, if print works. It is all over the board. I've got locations where TV continues to crush. Older demographic, they sit down in the evening and turn their TV on. That's worth it. Currently, YouTube is actually taking up more hours of watch time than traditional TV. So you need to know your market and know what you're going to do with your traditional outlets.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is is important to just kind of hammer home there is every market is a little bit different. I had an opportunity last week to talk to a friend of mine who's, I grew up and was in the DC market for a long time, and the 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 market there is definitely a little bit more geared towards like radio, for example. Shocking, you spend a lot of time in the car stuck in traffic, so there are
Mm-hmm.
definitely radio stations that produce very, very well because you have to listen to every commercial break that is, that is on every station up there. So, radio is definitely a lot more popular than TV in that example. Here in
Hmm.
Richmond, Virginia, commute time is nothing. So radio not as popular here for advertising. So things like that you want to make sure you're paying attention to. It's not to say that you can't get something out of radio, but maybe that's less, direct response, a little bit more brand awareness kind of thing. It's not to say that some of those things aren't important to do, like TV can be important, but it's not necessarily direct response or directly attributable. You're going to get, some brand awareness. You're going to get it, but you're going to get people that hear you, think about you, and go to your website, for example. So
Yep.
knowing what you're going to, spend, where you're going to spend it at the beginning of a year is important. I think
Yep.
one of the big things here is with some of those bigger traditional media outlet things, the earlier you're allocated, what I found in our experience of doing it is your buying power becomes a lot better and you get things at a better rate, right? So if I know at the beginning of the year dog-eared, whatever it is, X number of dollars for this, and I go to my TV person and my radio person and say I want to buy this much ad space throughout the year, I'm gonna get it at a better rate than if I'm going, every other month and trying to buy ad space at that point. So this is where this budgeting and planning a year in advance is a big, big advantage. So having this done early is huge, right? It also allows me to make adjustments as the year goes on. As if I'm doing well, I can push more of those marketing dollars into the market and capture more market share as we're going on throughout the year. So those things are really, really important. And I can also pull back if things aren't working well. I can say, hey,
Yep.
we're not seeing the response that we're supposed to be seeing, right? I can hold those
Yep.
people accountable. You told me I was going to be in front of this many eyes, and it's just not happening, right? So having that kind of conversation cadence with them is going to be important as well too. So it's just about, like you said, knowing your market, knowing the fact that I can go to you early and say I got a check this size and I'm ready to write, assuming that I can get, an advantage and you're going to sell your ad space earlier in the year and hit your number earlier in the year, it's going to be an advantage for you. Yeah.
Yep.
One of the things that's on here, Jay, I know you commented on earlier. I'll let you touch on that because I think you're probably one of the people I admire most about being kind of ahead of the game, looking at new things here. So I'll let you touch on that box on the right there.
Yeah. So, just when you're looking at your budget, don't just think about, I need this many leads and I'm going to spend to get the leads. Include a percentage of your budget to try new things. We have to be, this year, 2025 has just been, nobody knew which way was up back in February, March, April, with kind of the multiple AI channels going mainstream and the content becoming, or content creation side of the internet being mainstream. Tools like Sora and Nano Banana are creating AI videos and images, and so a lot of this stuff is changing rapidly before our eyes, and so definitely have a budget where you can spend on it and go, "Did it work or didn't it?" And just anticipate it for sure.
Yeah. It, 5, 15%, 15% might be aggressive for some.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's no doubt about that. Um, Something though, something where you're testing something new. If you keep doing the same thing, what you'll find is you'll be, in October going, I'm not close to hitting my mark and leads keep slowing down. My
Mhm.
competitors passing me by. And then you're on the phone doing the race where you're trying to figure out, hey, what's everybody else doing to get more leads? Who's getting the best opportunities and who's getting more? And you'll find the one or two people that are,
Mhm.
and you'll find out what they're doing, but it takes, a couple of months or weeks or whatever it is for whatever that source is to pick up momentum and pick up steam.
Yep.
And by that point, it's too late, right?
Yeah.
You need to be trying these things earlier in the year to get that,
Mhm.
kind of foundation built for that program for it to see success. And Jay, I know you've had this conversation with dealers. I've had this conversation with owners that I've worked for where, hey, we're trying this new program. We just started it and they're banging on my door going, it's not working. Like we just started yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
relax, give it some time and
Yep.
let's see if it is or isn't working. I don't know.
Mhm.
But we
Mhm.
also knew that we set aside 5 grand to test it.
Mhm. Mhm.
We have to be okay with it not working. And that 5,000 was a cost of doing business and testing these
Yep.
things because we want to be first to this game, not the third competitor to this game.
Yep.
We want to be the
Yep.
best at doing this thing. So again, if you're not trying new things, you're not growing, you're dying. You become the old-fashioned company, and nobody wants to buy from the old-fashioned company.
Yeah. Yeah, some places to test. Yeah, I'm just thinking of conversations I've had with different customers over the years. We have on traditional, we have home shows listed, but a great thing to test is ones that you don't think would work. Maybe it's a farmer's market on a Saturday. Allocate budget to go try some of these locations that you wouldn't think would be successful. Here locally in Rochester, Minnesota, took a big risk a couple of years ago and opened up a canvassing team, a whole division of marketing that was canvassing. And rocky start, had to learn a lot of things to get it off the ground, and it cost some dollars, but now it's just a regular part of their marketing machine that they had to take a risk on and try it out.
Yeah, and some of those programs are heavy lifting, like that one in particular, right?
Mhm,
Especially when you got people in it. The home show ones, they have people in it. I know, the Pentech network is going through getting the Home Depot program up and going, and that that that's not a low effort thing. That there's a lot that goes into it. But when you get those programs up and going, and you get the momentum behind them and you figure them out, they become they become a an engine that kind of just keeps feeding itself, right?
mhm,
You need the right person running those departments for you, but when they're there, they become low cost of marketing, things that offset your higher cost of marketing things.
mhm.
And those are the KPIs that you need to look at and think about as well too, that we have in the bottom, right?
Yep,
Some
yep,
some of your engines might be high cost of marketing that produce maybe lower lead flow, but higher close rate
mhm.
type things.
Yep,
And
yep,
like a canvassing thing might end up being a lower cost of marketing, but maybe not as high close rate, but it's a bigger number of leads, kind of thing. So you got to have a good balance in your mix here too with your budget.
yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah, those the KPIs that matter down there in that bottom left is the cost of marketing as a percentage. I think it is important to ultimately look at the overall percentage. If you want to blame an individual lead source, and I have conversations like this a lot with my customers where they're like, oh, Facebook's really expensive right now, or oh, Google's really expensive right now, or one of their, more traditional stuff. And it's like, but what's your overall cost of marketing? If it's still within line, then you can, with a certain amount of certainty, know that each of these systems are feeding each other.
mhm.
Attribution tracking on the digital side, that non-traditional marketing is really helpful to go to your website and learn that, 50 of your 150 website visitors actually came from Facebook.
Right.
And instead of saying, "Oh, your Facebook leads aren't working," it's like, "Well, you got an extra 15 appointments this month on your website, and we can look at analytics and do the attribution tracking and go, nah, Facebook's feeding your website. This is a big deal. And if we turn Facebook down, your web leads turn down. And the hard ones to measure are like billboards.
Yeah.
It's like I was talking with our local shop here, and I think it was a couple of years ago. They said they could attribute one sold job to a billboard that
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. That's a hard one like that too, but it's one of those things when you turn them down or you take the billboard down, it's hard,
Mhm,
right? And I get it. Sometimes it's a gut thing where you go, I feel like that it is driving traffic to this. Um, but sometimes you gotta A/B test some stuff too, right? Like, hey, if I did
mhm,
turn it down for a month, what would it do? And how would the rest of my mix react to it? But yeah, knowing that all of these things are feeding themselves. And again, when you start building out your calendar the right way with your home shows, your canvassing opportunities, then working with your digital people, your Facebook people, and that kind of stuff, and the team of Powerful. If you're good about this and you have a calendar built out, well, hey, we're going to have a home show going on at this time. Well, shoot, Jay and his team could start doing some maybe geo targeting
mhm.
around some of that
Yep.
stuff and really amplifying the volume that your dollars are trying to create at that point too. So
Yep.
there's just a lot that can happen that can help, boost the volume. So it's good
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, did I go too fast there, Jay?
No, we're gonna cover it on this slide. So there's 12 months of marketing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a big believer in planning it all the way out. We can always adjust it, but I'd rather know what it is, coming down the line, at least from a senior leadership standpoint. I'd like to have an idea of where we're going and be able to make adjustments as need be. So, we want to be able to plan it out. So, my goal was that you know, by the first or second week of December of this year, I know what my offer will be the following December. So in every other month that's going to come before it.
Mhm.
And again, we can make some adjustments moving forward, but that's what we're going to be. So any disagreements with that, Jay?
Nope, nope. It's I like what you said, don't feel like this calendar is set in stone and you're just married to it and you can't make any changes. The point is to put something out in front of you and have it be front of mind and then have the conversation along the way and make the changes along the way. But you need that goal in front of you to see where you're going.
Yeah. Yeah, look, if we pick the programs from a financing standpoint, right?
Mhm.
What we've done is we've set ourselves up to give marketing different offers that they can utilize throughout the year, and sales, different programs that they can leverage in the home for urgency throughout the year as well too. So
Mhm.
those two departments working together to create urgency to get the phone to ring and to create urgency to get people to sign up to trust us with their home. We can create offers that align with the season or the holiday or the clean out the garage or whatever it might be, and it's a program that kind of starts working itself. And I don't have people like running from office to office or being held up by me signing off on a promotion or what have you. And I think one of the other things that's important too is we want to keep things fresh and exciting for both our external customers, the people that are getting our ads, and our internal customers. So one of the things that I always noticed was anytime we ran something that was so similar to last month's offer, the mood in the sales room or the mood in our call center was like, oh, okay, more of the same, right?
Yeah.
Um, but if I changed it from a 12-month no interest, no payment program to, excuse me, a 24-month, right? To get, because we're going into a slow season, I'm trying to get, the phone to ring more. Excuse me. Um, one second. All ooh,
It's good.
need you to
Y-
fill in.
That's right. That's it. That's good. Yeah,
Guys would get so
being a
excited I couldn't talk.
I know. Uh, we are human, just for you listeners to realize that though we appear superhuman, we are human.
Sorry, every time we would change that offer, guys would get so excited,
Mhm.
their voice would go out all of a sudden, apparently.
Yeah.
But, changing it up was a big deal, right? You
Yeah.
wouldn't think it would matter because they're gonna go in and try to sell anything, but
Mhm.
it matters, right? It's something different, it's something fresh. They're not singing the same song every
Yeah.
time they go out on stage. So,
Yeah.
we gotta keep it exciting and align it with the season that's coming for our marketing.
Mhm. Yeah, and on the marketing side too, it can be very repetitive, same old, same old. In the concrete coatings, a lot of our advertisements do it's just a machine that continues to work and produce results, and it's beautiful after and ugly before, some pictures of the project being installed, and that works. And so we can kinda get, caught up in the drudgery of, "Oh, it's another photo set of the same stuff," and to inject some energy into, "Hey, let's try a different thing. Let's promote." I know DeStefano a couple years ago did a DeStefano 5-gallon bucket. It was kind of a gift
Yeah.
bucket with some, like, floor cleaner material in it, and It's like, hey, we don't need to give away a $500 discount. Let's give away some fun little gift.
Right.
And all of a sudden, everybody's sitting around the table talking about, well, how do we get the customers excited about this? Marketing's now excited because they did get to do something different than they've been doing for the last 3 months. And then sales, it's how are we going to sell this? The
Yeah.
story changes, the introduction to it changes. And so I think it is important to be curious and be looking for ways to engage with the audience where they're at and in the season that they're in, and keep that fresh message
Yeah.
top of mind.
100%. 100%. And sorry, I'm back apparently. We'll see for how long. Um So, the other thing here that's in the yellow on the right side, and I'll stress this, m- I always made sure, you know, to keep what I would call like the ace up the sleeve, right? So
Hmm.
we always had one or two programs that we had in our back pocket as a flash sale. So if we
Hmm.
felt a particular month where we needed something and we started off slow and we needed to get a couple extra jobs across the finish line, we had the flash sale in our back pocket, right? And it was an opportunity to roll into a sales meeting, say, hey guys, you know, here is the offer for the next 2 weeks, or here is and go into the call center and say, guys, we're going to go back and rehash all the appointments we've seen, for the month, and tell them they have an extra offer, to go ahead and, finalize their deal by the end of the month. And here it is, right? It's kind of the panic button is, out, but hasn't been pressed yet, and we need to go ahead and get something across the finish line. So maybe it's going to cost me an extra point or two, but it beats the heck out of having just a disaster of a month, right?
Yeah.
And having those things in there. And look, I'm not going to play them all the time. If it's a lever I'm going to constantly, and then it's not a flash sale. It's just
Hmm.
it's a
Yeah.
it's a strategy at that point. I don't want that to be a strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's good.
the one there that's at the bottom, Jay, that I want maybe you to expand on a little bit because you're a lot more familiar with this than I am, and probably have more experience with coaching some people through this part of it is the idea of never going dark. And I know that there's some people that struggle with this and wrestle with this idea at times, but talk to us about the importance of like, hey, I know it's slowing down, but pulling all the way out of the market may not be the best idea.
Yeah. Yeah. I think first off, have your spreadsheet and have it filled out and have the understanding that you need to spend 12 months out of the year. I think a lot of the customers that I talk to that they have fear around their slower season, wherever that is they haven't really planned for I need to spend even when the calendar looks light, installer production. And, we're in the Pacific Northwest, we're on both coasts, we're in the middle, we're in Florida, we help customers all over the country. We're even over in Hawaii helping a customer over there grow their coatings business. And, it's the conversation, especially, just practically speaking, November, December, and then early on in January, e-commerce is crushing the auctions. It's tough to compete. And then on top of that, the average consumer has shifted to, gifts and holidays and travel and stuff like that. I've got 5 boys, and, my wife and I are talking about it. It's like, if you spent $500 per kid, right? That's stockings, that's a couple of good gifts. Gifts are expensive now. My kids are old enough that they're like, I want a gaming PC, or I want my own TV, or, I want this really cool keyboard for my computer. Dad, it's only $180,
Sure.
right? And I go, shoot, 500 bucks times five, I'm spending $2,500 easily. I haven't even bought my wife gifts yet. And so just the reality that the consumer interest declines then you go, we're going to have to pay more to get the interested parties, get in front of the right people. And so I'd have a lot of conversations about that first one, which is if you quit spending, you lose brand awareness and you lose market share. And so I make recommendations like let's switch to a lower marketing campaign for reach or awareness. Let's maybe drive traffic to your website to encourage higher intent buyers. Let's do something that we can continue to stay front of mind. Especially this year, Matt, you and I have talked a lot about competition.
Mhm,
Oh my goodness. I hear in Rochester, we're not even a large market, and we've got our local Pentec dealer has like 10 competitors.
mhm. Yeah,
Well, what happens if the Polytech brand quits showing up on social media or Google searches? Well, the other 10 will be there, like
yeah,
guaranteed.
mhm,
And so you just simply have to make yourself front of mind. And the fun thing on the social media, because we handle inboxes too, is the thing my team gets most tired of hearing is get back to me after the holidays.
mhm,
But my team gets back to them after the holidays. And so we were there in the slow season when people were interested but weren't quite ready. And
mhm,
so then come, a week or 2 into January, and we're like, "Hey, Mrs. Jones, I hope you had a great Christmas and New Year's. What do you think about getting on our schedule for a free appointment?" And most of them are surprised. "Oh, I can't
mm,
believe you actually got back a hold of me." But these
yeah,
are people that we create a relationship with in December, and we followed up with them in January, and we're already ahead of the companies that chose to, close their doors or reduce their budget.
yeah. It's hard to come back from that,
Yep.
it takes time to build back up. Look, I was a part of a necessity of having to turn some things off. We weren't really sure what was where we weren't tracking things well when I first took over a department. We had to turn some things off to figure it out. And when we started turning things back on, it was a really painful experience. And I think some of the people that are doing this don't turn them off maybe quite long enough to feel that. Uh, but I will say this, like you don't know how long that time frame is to be off for it to have that level of impact. And it doesn't necessarily have to be off for months at a time. It can be a couple of weeks, right? And one of your competitors sees that opportunity and goes and buys that market share from you. And
Yeah.
if there's somebody, who's around, who's big enough or has a deep enough pocket to go buy it from you, that's the risk you take in that scenario. So it's not that you need to spend recklessly, but you need to stay in the game, right? You need to
Mm,
stay at the table and keep pushing chips in a little bit to make sure that you're there for when the cards start falling your way.
yeah, that's right.
For sure. Well, good stuff. So we got a 12-month, kind of calendar, and we've got the ideas that we're going to be building out for that. So, look, we've kind of flown through here, episode 3, uh, and built out some of the financing and built out our idea of a calendar. One, we've got to go through our quick recap and talk about what's next, Jay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so we covered a lot today. Like you said, a lot of back and forth here about what we can do with financing, explored the power of financing and why it's a competitive necessity at this point. Discussed how to budget for financing programs and select the right programs. And I think that happens through a call with you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Uh, yeah, get your 30 minutes scheduled to Fitz. And then we covered a lot about marketing this time. Understanding the seasonality of it. Here we are a few days before Thanksgiving and customers are calling and have questions. So understand that, build out your marketing mix and plan for 12 months out. Look at that calendar and take a minute to go, what do I want to do around Easter? What do I want to do around Father's Day? What do I want to do for the July 4th? Am I going to do a promotion? And historically, what worked last year or still this year in 2025, and what were the results? And then can I anticipate similar results next year and make that 12-month plan?
Yeah.
So there's some
It's a little bit
homework
of
here, Matt.
Yeah, I was gonna say a little bit of homework there at the bottom,
Mhm.
right? So, get your list of finance options together and the costs, right, associated with them. Start narrowing in on those. Like you said there, Jay, if you need some help with that, I know there'll be a link here to go ahead and get a 30-minute schedule with me. I'm happy to help work through that, and we can get you pointed in the right direction. Analyze your seasonality, go back and look at last year. If that's all the data you got, that's plenty to get yourself started, and if you need more help beyond that, reach out to Jay or reach out to some others in and around your network. And I'm sure that there's some people who can give you some good insight in that regard. Look at those KPIs, right? Cost of marketing, CPLI, cost of acquisition, right? By source, right? In your mixes and your traditional, non-traditional mixes there to find out kind of what your drivers are, where you're going to be allocating your budget and then setting aside maybe some of that budget to testing some new areas of opportunity for yourself in your marketing mix. And then, like Jay said, what would your 12-month calendar look like as far as your offers go? Right. So putting together what your offers are, just some sort of slogan, tagline, plus here's the financing hook and the dollar percentage off, whatever that might be. Again, knowing that these things aren't set in stone, but they're going to give you some sort of kind of guidance for what the year's going to look like. So, just four quick little things there that you can go through in a day, and with you and your team that'll get you, off and running for 2026 and pointed in the right direction. I think that's a good foundation for your financing and marketing mix. Sound good, Jay?
An episode for Ed, man, it sounds really good. I'm excited for 2026 because I've got a plan. So what is
Mm.
episode 4? What are we looking
W-
forward to?
We are done with all this boring shit that is marketing.
Uh-huh. The yawn
Now
fest
that
is over.
Yeah, now you guys can wake up now. We get to do all of the exciting things that everybody has tuned in for. We're going to talk sales, man. I'm excited.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
yeah, now that they have finally Jay and everybody else has prepared to feed the stars of the program here.
That's right.
We're going to make sure the sales team is prepared for the growth that is coming. Um, so next week, what we'll talk about is how to make sure the leadership team is prepared for hiring and recruiting, right? Making sure they got a roadmap for that, make sure that they're prepared for training processes throughout the year with scorecards and one-on-ones established as well too. What that process looks like for getting their team ready for their goals and their standards throughout the year. And then we're going to talk about the sales reps as well too, and making sure that they're prepared for what their processes and finance integration and all that's going to look like going throughout the calendar year. So and how they're going to be evaluated as well too. So pretty comprehensive week 4 on the sales process, and just I mean way more fun than we've had today for sure talking about marketing.
Yeah, I think I'll bring my neck pillow and sit back in my chair and just let you talk the whole time.
That sounds good. It's what the people want, man.
That's right. Maybe we'll run a poll.
There we go. There you go. I like it, man. I like it. Well, look, we appreciate everybody that tunes in and listens, and it would be much appreciated if you could hit the bell and like and subscribe. It goes a long way for us, and making sure that we can keep producing some of this stuff for you guys. And we have a lot of fun doing it, and the feedback has been really great as well too. So if you can do those things, we appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you guys tune in next week as well too. So take advantage of the call if you can. Well, I'm happy to help out and look forward to it. Jay, always a pleasure, sir.
Yep, yep. See you guys next week.
Happy hunting.